business of HR to me means moving from value chain to creating value. A lot of times as HR, we are inundated with this language, HR value chain. Business is not interested in that. It's interested in what is the value you are creating in the business. That for me explains what does it mean when we are saying we are running HR. And what is value creation? The activities we do, we still have to do them. We still have to do job profiles. We still have to make sure that performance management works. We still have to make sure we recruit. We still have to make sure we train. We still have to make sure we do the coaching that they've been talking about here. However, the most important thing if now we are really doing business, the question is, what people outcomes are we driving? From a leadership, what leaders are we breeding? And what leaders are we breeding that can make sure that they attract, they retain, and they make sure that they develop the people that they work with. And we see the behaviors that we need, such as making sure we have an engaged workforce. And that's not enough. Our business should also be able to show link what we do to the business outcome, and be able to even link it to the bigger strategic objective of the business. If we are able to do that, then we are really, really doing the business that we are supposed to be doing. Being able to form the linkages, we can only do that if we stop asking business, what are your HR needs? I mean, if you go into business with these questions, most of the time they will tell you, I don't need you. I'll call you when I need you. And they won't even take you serious. We need to go and start talking about what are your business challenges and be able to summarize and translate that into HR language. Business, it's not HR. We understand HR, but we can help business to talk HR. We are starting to talk about the real business of HR if we do that. Being able to demonstrate the following. Number one, being able to show our effectiveness, doing the right things, being able to show business that we are doing the right things. Not just doing the right things, but making sure that we are efficient. We are doing them right. As HR, we can do right things and we can do them right. The question is, what impact are you showing that to the business? What is the impact? A lot of times we celebrate the things we do, but we can't prove to business the things that we have done, how do they impact on their own businesses. If we can't do that, we haven't started doing our own HR businesses. The current reality, I mean, as I said, I'm going to define what I believe the business of HR is. But where are we as HR today? Number one, business is sitting alone discussing issues such as entering new markets. We are a consulting company. We work with different clients. It's said that we go into businesses when they've already entered the markets and it doesn't work. And you look at the things that are not making them work. If HR was in the forefront, if HR was leading the discussion, they would have thought of the cultures that we are getting into, those cultures that we need to be thinking about, the things that we need to prepare so that as a business when we enter, I mean, there's a client which entered into a market and they only realized when they are in, that is a Portuguese-speaking country. And now they only have English-speaking people, which means they quickly thought of how do we not move talent from South Africa, but make sure we have talent. And if HR was part of that discussion, was leading those discussions, those things would have been thought through. Cost-cutting measures. Those discussions are led by finance. HR people only come at the end when we try to retrench. But those are the things that, as HR, if we were leading and we were in the forefront, the discussion could have taken another direction. We let business lead introducing new systems, You can imagine the big change management that is required with projects like this one. But they only come to us when they've already bought the system, when they've already thought of changing, and now we are coming at the end. And by that time, the system is already being launched. We are only thinking about change management after the fact. We are only thinking about what competencies are required after the fact. And we are only thinking coming in when there's already a problem. That's really where we are currently, most of us. Moving into new offices. I mean, I had a client where we got in, they never thought about other things. As an example, they moved to another area, and they didn't think what it will take from people that are using taxis. They now had to think about it when they had already moved. If HR was there to lead this discussion, things would have been different. Introducing new departments. These are some of the things that they can happen without you leading this discussion. If that's not happening, then we are not doing the business that we are supposed to be doing in the business. The reality is, why don't we have that time as HR? Because we are still consumed by our own internal fights. Spending time about seniority. That's what we are still doing currently. HR is no longer about seniority. Spending time fighting about our titles in our own internal environment. Who should be talking to client? Is it the business partner? Is it the center of excellence? Is it the admin? Is it the officer? That's what we are spending time doing in our own areas. And unfortunately, the business is not waiting for this. They want us to fix these internal fights so that we have time to go and really offer the business that they've hired us for to do. We are consumed by role confusion. We are still really inundated by the issues around who is supposed to do what. We are being blamed. Who is to be blamed? High labor turnover. You must see in the boardroom, when they talk about this, they turn their head and all they look at the HR head, or they look at, and is that the HR's problem? Disciplinary action that don't go their ways. They are angry with us. They think as HR we're not supposed. That's our business. That's what they expect us to be doing in our companies. Long recruitment turnaround times. When it takes too long, everybody blames HR. Wrong hires, when it doesn't work, everybody blames HR. Is that our business? I'm not sure. We need to ask ourselves, what are we not doing well? The reality is, we are wearing the same hat. Whether we are in a business meeting, whether we are in an HR meeting, we are wearing our HR hat. The problem with that is nobody is controlling or directing the traffic. There's no traffic controller. If I'm a center of excellence, if I'm a talent management specialist, I don't know what really the business needs. I'm going to have to tell business what I think they need. And when it doesn't work, I forget that my business partner, who was supposed to be coming to tell me what is it that the business is asking for, she didn't tell me what exactly is happening. While probably in that environment, they need team effectiveness. They don't need talent management. It's because we don't wear different hats at different areas to ensure our relevance all the time. The reality is we are consumed by things that we are reacting to. For example, employee queries. You hear people saying they are busy. You look at your diary and ask yourself, at the end of the day, where did you spend most of your time? You are dealing with queries. Recruitment issues, these are some of the queries. Resignation, people leaving the organization, line manager meetings. You go in there to support the manager to manage the people. Disciplinary grievance issues, those are the things that we are reacting to. Poor performance issues, these are the things that are taking a lot of our time. Is that our real business? Is that what they've asked us to come and do? To be honest, if I'm a business, I can even think of outsourcing this and call someone when I need the help, if ever that's what we've been hired for. So that's our reality today. The reality is we're still being seen as a support function. We are still being seen as, I know they will come and support us. I'll know they'll support us when we need them. I'll know they'll support us when we call them. Not as a service department, not as a campus department that offer service. Employees do not trust their managers. As a result, who do they trust? In some cases, they don't even trust HR. They don't trust the manager. They don't trust HR. Who do they trust? Their unions. That's the reality in some of the other places that we are at. Why? Why is this happening in our businesses? It's because we provide reports that link ownership to HR, where the actual problem is, versus where the actual problem is. Numbers of vacancies, if we bring a report that says we have 10 vacancies, we still have to recruit 20. All what I'm seeing, if I'm a board member or if I'm an EXCO member from a business, I'm seeing HR telling me how many positions they still have to recruit. If they take too long, and I'm seeing something that's saying our turnaround time is sitting at 66 versus 34, I can only lash my HR department. The type of reports that we provide results in business blaming HR for not delivering on their service level agreement. So this does not provide required information to solve the problem. It just tells me what is the problem, but it doesn't tell me where the real problem is. The reality is that we advertise jobs in the business. We close adverts in the business. Someone needs to shortlist. And that, in most cases, is the line manager. They take too long to shortlist, but when the report comes, nobody shows it. What we are saying, we're saying vacancies. We need to start interviewing. Someone needs to sit and come and interview with us. There's nobody to interview. I don't need a person. The line manager needs the person, but they're not available to do that. Someone needs to finalize and say, I'm taking this talent, not this one. It's not me as an HR, it's a line manager. But our reports shows that we own every stage of the way. And you look at it, the turnaround time is sitting at 66. Who is to be blamed if you look at this? Line manager. But our report was saying just 66 days to recruit, number of jobs still taking too long. I can only blame HR. What is the real thing that we need to do? Is because the key problem is the recruitment value chain is where it's broken, where the line manager needs to do what they need to do. But how we report, it's reported in a way that the blame sits with human resources. This is how we should be reporting. The department, the number of vacancies, the shortlisting, how long it takes, the review, how long it takes, the interview, how long it takes, and the average days, where is it broken? If I look at it, if I'm a line manager, quickly you are saying to me, go and look at your department. It's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're shifting ownership where it's supposed to be shifting. In that way, it will relieve us to do our own business so that people who need to do their job, they do their job. Am I making sense? Why? I said it earlier on. No one is controlling the traffic by wearing the business hat in HR and a hat in HR. You can see HR hat, your role is first to understand what solution does business need from HR, and then go into HR and direct the HR agenda with what business is asking from business. So we need to make sure that we do that. The other issue why we cannot play our business the way we should, our business the way we should be placing is because as HR, we spend time attending only this conference. These conferences are very important. We still have to show we know our area of specialty, which is human resources. But as a leader, as someone who's going to have to influence business, you have to make sure that you become an all-rounder. What does that mean? Talent nurturing. You cannot convince or you cannot influence leadership if yourself you're not a leader. You cannot drive change if yourself you're not a change agile person. You cannot talk strategy if yourself you don't understand strategy. That's one of the reasons why maybe we get consumed by this HR language, because we haven't developed ourselves to be all-rounded leaders. HR, unfortunately, is not an excuse. You have to be an end-to-end leader because you have to touch every aspect of the business. You cannot just focus on HR. I always, when I coach people, I say to them, you have done your HR. It's time for you to done your business leadership. It's time for you to become a manager. It's time for you to leave the behaviors of the company by really focusing on those things that will enable you to be who you're supposed to be. Because we have not moved from hierarchy to team and partnership, we are team members. When you have a center of excellence in your business, when you have a line manager, when you have business partner, when you have an HR, whatever you call it, officer, when you have a self-service technology, that is a partnership from an HR point of view. It doesn't matter. You need each one of us. We need each other. I cannot be a strong business partner if I'm inundated with day-to-day HR queries. I cannot be the best business partner if you, as a center of excellence, you are not developing, you are not creating time to give me the thought leadership I need to go and ask business the right questions. So it's very important that you realize we're moving from who reports to who is senior to who. I cannot be the best HR director if I don't have the best HR administrators. That's really as simple as that. So for us to really hold our business, to move to that business that we have to do, we need to realize we need to move from hierarchy to team and partnership. What does it mean to be able to do that? It means we need to move from support to offering service. Knowing that, why is it that we have to do that? Because support is reactive in nature. It fixes when things are wrong. Customers' interaction is normally or typically under negative circumstances. Few exit barriers. It's easy to outsource that function. Yeah? Service, customers, you can see, is proactive, is partnership. I can't walk without you. I need you because I know the value you're going to add from me. That's what it means for us in terms of what it means for us to really be able to do the business that we have to do. We need to make sure that the balance of all the different roles required in human resources are in place. Number one, the air traffic controller. Your business partner, when you say someone is a business partner in your business, when you say we are really playing a business role in the business, it's when the traffic is well managed. It's when you know, when they are in business, they will listen to business, they will translate the business issues into HR, and they will bring the HR requirements back to the HR function. We know now that we are starting to play our business. The crew and the gear. When I have to fly an aeroplane, the reason why I don't fly some of the airlines is because of the crew. It's not because of the air traffic controller. It's not because of the mechanics, whether it's an engineer. It's because of the service I'm getting on a daily basis while I'm flying that airline. If I get wrong service, I'm not going to fly it again. So you can imagine your day-to-day transactional service is like a crew in the aeroplane. So that has to work. If it doesn't work, there's no way that you're going to have a strong traffic controller. There's no way that you're going to have a strong mechanics. I always use this analogy when I talk about centers of excellence. I always say, if I was to go to a hospital and I have a heart problem and they tell me I'm going to have a surgery, someone, while I'm laying in that operation room, says to me, I'm an intern, I'm starting to practice on how to operate hearts. I'll definitely wake up and say, please, can I wait for my next specialist to come and touch my heart? So a lot of us, we get into these centers of excellence and we are learners. And we think we can convince business. And we think we can even lead ourselves. That's where the problem starts. Because what does it mean? It means our business partners are not going to have the tools they need to make sure they position us better in the business, because they will be having the right solutions that are designed by these thought leaders. And as a pilot, you can only battle, because you don't have the crew and don't have the traffic controller, you can't have the mechanics that you need to be able. If we put all this in place, if we make sure that all these competencies that we need that create this balance in our function, I've got no doubt that the business that why we exist in our businesses will never not take us serious. What it means that we need to make sure that the human resource foundation is in place, in balance. What does that mean? The role. Partnership with HR is the role we play. We need to get that very clear versus just supporting. The function is internally. What have you put in place that we can take and go and use in the business? You hear people saying, I'm doing org design. But you go in, you look at what they have. Do they really have the tools and everything they need to go and run with org design? They don't have that. So as a business partner, I start trying to get something everywhere. Then I'm not going to have the time to play my role. So the function is internally, it needs to work, versus reacting to business as and when it needs remuneration, as and when it needs training. We need to understand this business and put the tools and put the templates and put the frameworks so that as a business partner, I know I can promise anything knowing that my function works. So that's what very important. And transactional admin, we hear a lot of people saying transactional admin doesn't work here because we don't have technology. I always say to people, technology is a carrier, it's not a doer. If things don't work, that you have put them on a system, it can't just work automatically. So we need to make sure that our day-to-day is well functioning so that when we play that role in business, they know that even their own groundwork is well cleaned. In that way, our business will be taken seriously in the business. What does it mean? An HR function that is positioned to adopt the HR function in the business and demonstrate return on investment. To just summarize from the business of HR, we need to understand that our role is to provide strategic partnership, to provide thought leadership, and to make sure that operationally we are excellent in what we do. So that we enable our people managers what to do? To take ownership of their role. We're not there to do their role. We're there to enable them to do what they have to do. Which is what? Which is attracting, retaining, and building the future talent that we need in the business. Our role is to provide the environment. Our role is to make sure we create those leaders, and those leaders create the employees we need and make sure they are motivated, they stay with us, they talk about the company, they love being part of the company. And so that we create that high-performing environment that you're talking about, the culture that we're trying to build. We cannot build the culture. We can enable the culture. Managers have to carry the culture, make the culture, make sure they live the culture, and produce the people we need so that we can deliver on the results that we are trying to deliver. The employee value proposition that we are trying to achieve, highly engaged workforce, and great business result. What it means is, as HR, knowing how to connect the story of the things that we do to what the business is trying to achieve. That now we are moving towards how do we demonstrate our return on investment. If we don't understand what the business is trying to achieve, don't even think of reporting. Don't even think of demonstrating the report on investment, the return on investment from us, because that is not going to be relevant to what the business is. Being able to, if you understand that, it's going to be easy for you to understand what are the implications of HR. If the business want to grow into new markets, if the business want to innovate, if business wants to grow its profitability, if business want to reduce cost, what are the implications of HR? How do we link what we do with what the business have said? That's very important that as HR, for us to make sure we can do our business better. If we don't get the first two right, we're not going to be able to demonstrate our return on investment. Then the next question should be, what do we then focus on? What are the things that we are going to be focusing on? Followed by, how do we then demonstrate our measure? How are we going to measure that? How are we going to demonstrate with that? And then if we know what we're going to measure, what type of information do we need? Lots of times when we work with clients, we realize that they think about information when they are asked to report on something. We never at first understand what are we trying to measure and how does that link to business. Then what information then are we going to need to be able to do that? Those things need to be in place. If you don't get that right, you're going to find yourself wanting when you have to go and demonstrate your business to the business that you are in. And the next question is, where do I get that information? And how will I get that information? Followed by, who needs what from who? I always say, before I became a corporate refugee, I was part of corporate at some stage. If I go to a meeting and I don't understand what do you need from me and what do I need from you, it means I'm not needed in that meeting. So sometimes we have these meetings in our businesses and we don't realize that the purpose of the meeting is to really understand who needs to give what, who, how, when. We only think about the agenda when we are already in the meeting. That's why some of the meetings just at some stage just fizzles, and it's because we haven't thought through and aligned them with structures like this one. And then the next piece is, what story are we trying to tell? To who? We've got boards in our areas. We've got ExCos. We've got MENCOs. We've got HR functions. We've got team meetings. What stories as HR function are we wanting to take into those meetings? Looking at this, and what type of forums we will be presenting that story, and how should we be presenting it? So now it's thinking about your role as a business to business and showing them the value you're going to add into this business. So maybe let me use an example of what do I mean and how do we do things like those. First of all, this business, it's focusing on strong bench strength for critical role. This is one of the key business driver. It's not an HR driver. A lot of times where as soon as it says people, we think HR. This is a business driver. It's a big business driver. The next question is, what are the implications of HR? What does it mean to us as a function? It means we need to focus on developing talent management strategy to talent within the needs as aligned to the business needs. That's what it means to us. The second question is, what then should we be focusing on for this year? Succession planning. That's our key focus. Using the previous framework, I said, what measures are you going to show and to demonstrate the value you are adding to business, to demonstrate that you're doing the business that you should be doing? It means you're going to be showing succession report indicating number of successors for critical roles. That's the report that you'll be showing. Yeah? What type of information do you need for you to be able to show that? Performance and potential of key talent. If you can't do that, it's a problem because it means you're going to battle to demonstrate your impact, your return on investment to the business. Development plans and progress. If you can't do that, it's going to not be easy for you to demonstrate the impact. Retention risk. If you don't have the ability to understand, to analyze, to really audit the current risk that we have from a talent point of view in the business, it becomes a problem for you to demonstrate your return on investment. Readiness of key talent to move into critical roles. If you don't understand how to demonstrate readiness, how to measure readiness, it's not going to be easy for you to demonstrate the impact that the business wants to see you demonstrating. The next question is, where do I get the information? Where is this information? Remember, that's what I said in the previous framework. I'm just trying to show you examples of how these things get done. From employees' individual development plans, which means when we do the development planning, how you capture that should be able to help you to package it together, for you to put it together, for you to be able to show the analytics, and for you to be able to demonstrate them. The annual performance scorecard, risk assessment results. If you don't have the right information, and the integrity of that information becomes very important, because you don't want to position something in front of business and they start thinking, where did you get this? This is not what I did last time. I've already done this and that. Already you are showing that your information is outdated. So that's very important, that how you manage that information, knowing what is it going to help you with. And lastly, how will you get the information? Drove directly from something, and that something, is it well maintained? One-on-ones with HRBP's business unit, talent review sessions, those are the things that you're going to use to be able to them. And then what story are you trying to tell? Yeah? We are trying to tell the story of the status of our bench strength and how this drives business success. That's what we're trying to tell. It looks very simple, but to live it in the business, it's a big challenge that we have seen, that it really compromises the value that we are trying to add in our business. What does that mean? Being able to demonstrate HR impact at all levels. Return on investment means being able to demonstrate the impact of HR at all levels. Not at one level, but at all levels. This framework is a framework that is utilized today. You hear the language around big data. Big data is really saying, what is it that you need to put in place to make sure that you have the right information that enable people to make businesses to make better decisions. So if you look at the first part, it's really the foundation to ensure that we have the data. So our HR systems that we have in the business, how we capture that, how we manage that data, who makes sure that the follow-through is there, is up to date, and it's real data at real time. So that's really what it talks to. And then the second parts talk to business intelligence, advanced analytics, not just giving us information. Because if I sit in a board, you give me information, I'm asking you, what do you expect me to do? This is just an information, so what? That's what we are asking for. So on the right-hand side, which is going to be your left-hand side, is just showing the different levels of reporting from a human resource point of view. You do have foundational, operational reporting. That's nice. You have to showcase that. It's very important. You'll see later what do I mean. Advanced reporting, strategic reporting, predictive reporting. You have to demonstrate that as human resources. But we tend to spend time on what? Foundational reporting, which is very important internally, but does it demonstrate the impact we make into the business? That's another thing. So if we look at foundational reporting, it demonstrates the success of HR. It demonstrates the indicator that we are very efficient. It demonstrates that we're doing the right things and we are doing them right. But it does not necessarily demonstrate the impact to the business. Some of the measures, as an example, cost per hire. A lot of us, you spend time showing how many training, or what is the budget you have used for training, what is the budget you have used for recruitment? What is it that we have? How many people attended training last year? How well have we completed the performance contract? That's foundational stuff. That's the day-to-day stuff that you're expected to do. And we know that for us to do that is because our day-to-day data, that's the critical success factors. Because if you don't have day-to-day database, that it's really, the integrity of it cannot be questioned. It's not easy for you to demonstrate such measures as this. We need to be able to move not just from foundational part to advanced reporting. Advanced reporting is we are starting to show the value that we add in the business. Am I making sense? Measurements that we're starting to show. When you start measuring productivity, customer service, increase of sales, those, now we're starting something. We're starting to show what we're doing, how does it link to business. And the critical success factor, if you don't understand the business, and if you don't understand what business is trying to measure, it's not easy for you to do advanced reporting. Yeah? The third one is strategic analysis. We need to not just measure operational stuff or advanced reporting, but we now need to be able to link the strategy of the business to what we're doing. We need to be able to link the vision of the business to the things that we are doing. Some of the indicators is when the indicator of business strategic achievement, when we are able to say, as a result of what we have done, the business has increased, the revenue has increased to this much. The culture has increased as a result of this. Our employee engagement has increased as a result of this. Our stakeholder value and how we have really delighted our customers has increased because of this. But we can only do that if we have the business insight, if we have the ability to talk about the inside of the business and really be able to talk like business owners. If we have that, we are able to demonstrate measures that demonstrate our strategic value to business. And the last one is predictive analysis. I think this already is saying itself. Being able to have that foresight, demonstrating the foresight, showing the strategic player, so showing that the things we are doing now, what value can they add in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years? That's what it means. Predictive modeling. I think people that have done psychology, they will understand types of predictive modeling that are out there. And not only, we as HR, unfortunately, we are expected, all of us, to be psychologists to understand this modeling stuff. We can only do that if we can show evidence-based and integrate stuff. If we can really talk at that strategic level and be able to say, because of where the economy is, because of what we have done, we can't move from here to here in the next 3 years. If we are able to if we cannot do that, we can't be even talking about predictive analytics. So you can see our role is to really, really make sure that now we move from just being HR professionals, but to becoming analytics of our own environment, of our own profession. And this is no longer a profession where you get to trust only one person. I mean, a skill that you need to trust only one person. We all need to realize we are expected in everything we do to ask ourselves, what are we doing this for? And if we are doing it, what is the impact from a business point of view that we are trying to achieve? Just to make sure that, what it means, tell a good story that enable business decision. I just want to zoom a little bit into the strategic and the predictive analytics. What does that mean? What we are trying to achieve with that, to provide the required information, to establish how we are performing in relation to our current strategic objective. That's why it's important to look at those analytics, because that's what you are trying to do with them. The second part is to provide the required information to enable strategic business decision. The last part is to provide predictive information to set the future strategy. If the business is having business planning, what they are asking for, they are asking for you to bring that predictive understanding, to bring information that will help them to see now and the future. That's what it means when you look at them. And to ensure our reporting tells the right story, it needs to answer the following questions. The first question, what happened? The sales, and as an example, the sales and service went up by 1%. Why? When did it happen? The last 3 months, as an example. How are we doing? How are we doing in relation to our competitors, to other departments, to other companies, and even amongst ourselves? Why did it happen? Why did these sales went up? As an example, it's because in the last 3 months or in the last 6 months, we rolled out customer service or we rolled out sales. And so what should we do about it? Maybe what it means is we must continue with this program to all other regions because it's working for us. So this is really the story we are trying to tell. This is how we are trying to demonstrate impact in our businesses. This is an example. Don't be scared when you look at it and think it's complicated. I'm going to make it very easy for you. Using the questions that I've said earlier on, what happened? You can see what we are trying to target is, if you remember that example that I gave earlier on, we are wanting to make sure that every executive, which is a critical role in our business, we've got at least 3 people that have potential to succeed in that role. That's our target. Yeah? Where are we? You should be able to showcase. Currently, we are 2.1. We only have 2 for each role. Already, if I'm an executive or if I'm a business person, I'm starting to realize that we are behind. We need to increase this number to 3 or even overachieve this number. Then the second question is, when did it happen? I can see that we are talking about 2018. I can see if ever is that quarter, you'll even write Q3 2018. How are we doing in relation to history? Last year, we were sitting on 4.1. This year, we are sitting on 2.2. The second one is, if I look at competitors, we are number 4. What makes us number 4? Out of, if there are 10 companies, we are number 4. If there are 10 companies, we are number 4. What makes us number 4? We've moved down 1 spot, but also a number 1 company that is holding number 1, it's sitting at 1:5. Already, if I'm a leader, I can see that. Against benchmark, at least we are aligned with benchmark because benchmarks, in the industry benchmark, tells us at least you need 2. So already I can see that. The next question, why did it happen? If I leave it there, they're going to ask me question, why? But if I go a little bit further, they can see. Comments, for example, due to significant downsizing of the business, it led us to where we are. Due to cutting training costs, we ended up not being able to fast-track some of the development. As a result, we ended up where we are. If I'm a finance person, I could already see I need to release money to give to this function so that they have to do what they have to do. And lastly, so what about it? You can see key insight and what you recommend needs to be done. Yeah? In conclusion, am I connected to the video? To the speakers? Okay. I'm not. Okay, all right. But before that, the next slide, just make sure the speaker, because it's a video. So putting it all together, as I've already said, summarizing what I've been saying, it's important that you understand your strategy. And you can see that's the first thing. But if you look at everything that I'm going to say, it's sitting within HR in making sure that from a function point of view, we provide the tools. The right leadership to enable the achievement of that strategy. The right competencies, we need to make sure the competency management is well understood in the business. With holistic development. Just now, we've had people talking about coaching is informal training. You can see it holds 75% of the organization. And we need to be our return on investment needs to demonstrate all these linkages and measure through performance and be able to reward and recognize accordingly and be able to retain the talent we need at any time and attract the people we need in the future and create the environment for people to be the best that can be and be able to deliver on the results. That's our business. But we're not going to be doing this. We need to be enabling this to be happening in our environment. In conclusion, Can you show the video? Just click on it. There's a play. You can play, it will play. Like Formula One, as HR, we need to enable business to trust its ecosystem and to make quick decisions in this changing and volatile environment. I thank you.